Around 1200 BCE, a mysterious and powerful group known as the Sea Peoples appeared in the Mediterranean, bringing devastation and destruction to some of the greatest civilizations of the Late Bronze Age. Their attacks left cities in ruins, major trade networks in shambles, and once powerful empires on the brink of collapse. The Hittites, Mycenaeans, and Ugarit were wiped out, while even Egypt, one of the mightiest civilizations of the time, barely survived after a fierce battle under Pharaoh Ramses III. But who were these warriors? Where did they come from? And what drove them to attack? The mystery surrounding the Sea Peoples endures, and even today, archaeologists and historians continue to uncover new clues about their origins and impact on history. The Sea Peoples were first mentioned in Egyptian records, particularly during the reigns of Pharaohs Ramses II and Ramses III. The inscriptions at Medinet Habu provide the most detailed visual and textual evidence of their existence. They depict massive fleets of warriors arriving by sea, attacking coastal settlements, and attempting to invade Egypt. These invaders were described as highly organized, bringing their families, animals, and belongings as if they were not merely raiders, but entire communities in search of a new homeland. Origins of the Sea Peoples. The origins of the Sea Peoples remain one of the greatest mysteries of ancient history. Scholars have debated for centuries where they came from and what motivated their massive migration and attacks. Some leading theories suggest they came from the Aegean region, particularly from the collapsing Mycenaean civilization, the Balkans or Western Anatolia, driven southward by climate change, famine, or social unrest. Seafaring warriors from Sardinia, Sicily, or Italy, moving eastward in search of plunder and new territory. The inscriptions name several groups associated with the Sea Peoples, including the Luca, Peliset, Jeker, Shurden, Shekelesh, and Danuna, many of whom may have later settled in modern Palestine, Sardinia, and the Aegean Islands. Linguistic and archaeological evidence suggests that they were not a single ethnic group, but rather a coalition of displaced peoples and mercenaries from various regions. Collapse of the Late Bronze Age civilizations. The devastation caused by the Sea Peoples was immense. By the end of the 13th century BCE, many of the great cities of the Late Bronze Age lay in ruins. The Hittite capital Hattusa, once a powerful center of an empire, was completely destroyed. The city of Ugarit, a major hub of Mediterranean trade, was reduced to ashes, its rulers unable to send a plea for help before the invaders arrived. The Mycenaean palaces, the heart of the Greek world, fell one by one, leading to what historians call the Greek Dark Ages. The loss of these cities meant the collapse of international trade, written records, and complex economies, pushing entire regions into a period of decline and isolation. The Battle of the Delta and the Egyptian victory. One of the most famous encounters between the Sea Peoples and an established civilization occurred in Egypt. Pharaoh Ramses III, who ruled from 1186 to 1155 BCE, faced an all-out invasion from the Sea Peoples, who arrived in vast numbers by both land and sea. The Battle of the Delta, recorded on the walls of Medinet Habu, shows how Ramses III's forces prepared traps along the Nile, sinking enemy ships and preventing their advance. This battle was a turning point. Egypt was one of the few civilizations to survive the Sea Peoples' onslaught, but at a great cost. The Egyptian economy was significantly weakened, and Egypt never fully regained its former power after these conflicts. Warfare and naval tactics of the Sea Peoples. The Sea Peoples were not just raiders. They were skilled warriors with advanced naval tactics. They fought using a combination of longswords, spears, and round shields, and their armor was distinct from that of the civilizations they attacked. Some reliefs depict them wearing feathered headdresses, possibly indicating a cultural or tribal identity. Their ships were well designed, featuring high prows and sterns, making them highly maneuverable in battle. The Medinet Habu inscriptions suggest that Egyptian forces used fire arrows, barriers, and strategic ambushes to defeat them, sinking many of their ships before they could land. This battle was one of the earliest recorded naval engagements in history. In recent years, shipwrecks and inscriptions found along the Mediterranean coastline have provided new insights into the Sea Peoples. Some sites in Turkey, Cyprus, and the Levant indicate that these groups may have been involved in early Iron Age settlements, adopting new lifestyles after their failed invasions. Additionally, studies on climate change in the late Bronze Age suggest that prolonged droughts may have triggered food shortages and economic collapse, forcing many groups, including the Sea Peoples, to migrate and raid more stable regions. Some historians argue that their invasions were not the primary cause of the Bronze Age collapse, but rather a symptom of a larger systemic crisis. The impact of the Sea Peoples' attacks reshaped the Mediterranean world. Their invasions marked the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age, a time of rebuilding and transformation. As the old empires fell, new powers began to rise. Some of the displaced Sea Peoples may have settled along the Levantine coast, becoming the Philistines, who later played a crucial role in biblical history. Others may have merged with local populations, spreading new technologies, military tactics, and cultural influences across the region. The story of the Sea Peoples is one of war, survival, and change. They arrived in history like a storm, toppling the great civilizations of their time and reshaping the ancient world. Their legacy, though shrouded in mystery, is undeniable. As new discoveries unfold, perhaps one day we will finally understand who they were and what truly drove them to the shores of history.